Let's get this thing going live. You guys know I got to put on the foam head again.
I know. I need something cool, man. I need something cool.
Yeah.
I don't have none.
You can't put on the mini helmet.
No, these are full. These are the full size ones, but like the replicas have a little thing in them, so you can't even wear them.
Oh, yeah. You gotta you gotta figure out how to break it somehow without breaking it. You know?
Yeah.
My Champ Bailey one you can put on.
Oh, man. But Broncos country, we're back. We had to get our collective thoughts now a day removed from the Broncos. Finally, officially, like, we don't suck anymore as a franchise. Officially, this is awesome. We no longer, I was telling Marc this, Jeremy, we no longer are associated with the New York Jets in any way now, because they, of course, have the longest playoff drought at, like, what, now it's going to be 15 seasons? And yeah, I think so. Something like that. Was 2010 the last
14
time?
14 or 15, yeah, something like that. In that range.
But hey, now we broke our, what was it, 8 seasons? Something like that, 9 seasons. It doesn't matter anymore. We made the playoffs this year, doing it with almost $90 million in dead cap. Insane. And David's coming in here saying, a lot of people are trying to put down the win, but the Chiefs head coach in DC were coaching just, people are going to try and rain on our parade right now. Not possible. So let's go ahead. We'll talk about Justin Simmons as well. But how are you guys feeling about this? I feel like I'm on cloud 9. What say you, Marc and Jeremy?
Yeah, man, definitely cloud 9 feeling. It's awesome. Super relieved. I'm happy they made it really relaxing. They made it easy on us yesterday. But ain't nobody raining. I was telling David this before we went live, and there's no way anybody's gonna have a chance of raining on my parade, at least, for sure. It's been a long time coming. I'm really happy that it came, at least a year earlier than we had all anticipated, and we're happy with. So it's a win-win. But super proud of this team, man. Loved everything we did in the offseason, and so happy that it actually translated onto the field too. So let's keep this thing going, man. No reason we can't. But yeah, I mean, Jeremy, what are you feeling, man?
Yeah, I mean, I feel, the last couple weeks after a loss, you kind of are like, I don't know if I want to go through the whole like YouTube X like gauntlet of just seeing everybody's thoughts or whatever. But man, you win like that, you can't wait to see what people are saying. I want to see all the videos. So I've just been doing that pretty much all day, and while I was at work, and yeah, no, it's awesome. And yeah, I don't know what it is about, like, if it's Broncos, if it's Bo Nix, or what it is, but every time we get something going, finally, everybody wants to just poo-poo it. Everybody wants to just be like, oh, yeah, but the Bengals, but it was the backups. You're like, hey, we won 10 games. The Bengals won 9. What are we talking about? Why do you guys who cares about the Bengals? You have to win games to get in the playoffs. Like, cry me a river, man. Like, they didn't win enough games. It's not a thing. So shut the hell up. And then as far as you're not going to get me like down. Of course, like we're not like, hey, did you guys see how much we won by yesterday? Yeah, we're excited. We won 10 games and we're going to the playoffs. That's what we're excited about. This is a whole season accomplishment, not yesterday accomplishment. So like, and if we're going to play backups, you want to leave no doubt. Like, okay, I'm sorry, but those same people that are poo-pooing it at the beginning of the year, if you would have been like, hey, you're going to have a rookie quarterback and you're going to have the worst or the least talented roster versus Kansas City, mostly backups. Who do you think is going to win going into the playoffs? They still would have picked the Chiefs. So don't be asking like, oh, well, it's just the backups of the Chiefs. Those are back-to-back world champion Chiefs, and we put it on them. And maybe they didn't care, but I can tell you Carson Wentz cared, because you saw how Sam Darnold has turned around. He was trying his hardest. It wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm going to be inaccurate and get sacked on purpose. That wasn't happening. So, yeah, no, I don't care. I don't care, dude. We made the playoffs, and I just love the fact that, I still – okay, you know what? Actually, I'm glad, because this is what's been happening this whole year. People have been down looking us. And let's keep doing that. We're the underdog. We shouldn't even be here. It's gonna be the Bills by 100, right?
What's the line right now?
You don't even worry about it.
I think it moved to 10.
I love it.
It opened at 8.5, I think.
Point spread, please.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I love it.
Yeah. I'd rather it be that way.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. Man, I really wish I could have watched the game in person, but the atmosphere just seemed great. Of course, man, the way that I just want to say from like an aesthetic standpoint, the way in which they have implemented the throwbacks with the from the social media side of things to how they do the whole field. Did you guys see like the toy cars that they're giving away? I thought that was so cool. Like it just seems to be like an extra special event when you're there for Throwback Day, and I just it couldn't have been more perfect for the occasion.
Yeah. The ownership just hands off to them. Like they have been awesome about every little detail about, hey, we're gonna give you a new field in the middle. Hey, we're gonna. You saw what happened with the Cowboys yesterday. How like they didn't want to give Cooper Rush like the incentive, and so they like sat him. And you're just like, that's not the Broncos, man. They are not. They'll spare no expense, and they actually respect the fans. You know what I mean? They know that a lot of people, this is like their passionate thing, and they don't have a lot of money to do a bunch of other things, and it's already expensive. We're gonna make the experience as good as we can for you. Mm-hmm. And when people like respect your fans and respect, I honestly feel like it's a big karmic thing. That's why our team is where we're headed, because I was thinking about it. There's 3 decisions that got us to where we're at from where we've been. And the first one, this is post new ownership. The first one was the ownership going and getting Sean Payton and being willing to trade the draft pick and pay the man what he was worth. And as much as we like will nitpick certain little things about Sean Payton, that dude changed the culture. I saw Colin Cowherd refer to him as Gordon Ramsay in Kitchen Nightmares. He will come in.
Just watching that too.
He will fire whoever he needs to. He will let go, but he's not going to be nice about it, but he will turn that restaurant around, and that's what he did. And then the 2 other decisions besides that, and me and Marc talked about it yesterday, was Sean choosing the 2 Bows. I honestly believe. Obviously, Bo Nix in the draft, that was his guy. But Bo, the strength and conditioning coach, because us being healthy when you're having a roster that is having to eat 80-some million in dead cap, you need to have all your starters, and you need to be healthy going in throughout the whole season. And that, I mean, for 2 years now, since he's been here and made that decision, we've been that. So those things, like, here we are. That's why we're here,
Wonderfully said. Marc, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think I agree a lot with what Jeremy had said. I just feel like as Bronco fans, man, it's amazing to think that, you look back on the offseason, right? We had the 88 million. I think we ate like 55 of it this year, the remaining 33 next year. We arguably could have just eaten the entire 88 million last year, gotten it out of the way, and still, been a playoff team, realistically, had we really wanted to make it work. But I mean, I agree. I think the Sean Payton hire really was the perfect hire for the situation that we were in. My biggest worry was that if it didn't work out with Russ, he wouldn't really want to be somebody that would rebuild, and then we'd keep band-aiding things. But once you saw the commitment from the top down, starting with the ownership of, hey, eat your losses, take the hit while you can, build it the right way. It all started to come to fruition. It came to fruition a lot quicker than we could have imagined. But kudos to so many people, the development of the young guys, so many players stepping up. It all led to an amazing moment. So I'm about as thrilled as it can be. It's surpassed my expectations more than I could have thought, for sure. I
wanted to share this too. Just kind of taking a look at Bo Nix's like year in review, and let me go ahead I know we were talking about this in our text thread yesterday, so maybe one of you guys can summarize just how great this is. But let's go stats here. When you look at Bo Nix's year, almost 3,800 passing yards on 66% completion. You add another 430 yards or so. So, yeah, what is that? Over 4,200 all-purpose yards, add another 5 total TDs. So that brings him up to 34 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. No lost fumbles on the year either, which is awesome. Incredible. So I know that we were talking a little bit about this, just kind of where this puts him in terms of like historic rookie years. Obviously, I think we're all of the same mind that we probably think that Jane Daniels is going to get rookie of the year. And I mean, with how bad the Commanders have been, you can't really argue against that. I think it's, even more incredible the turnaround that they've had this year with their new staff and everything like that. But where does, especially like the total touchdowns, where does that put him historically with rookie quarterbacks?
I mean, I think statistically, we talked about this. Statistically, it's definitely up there, right? I know stats don't always paint the full picture, but it was funny because I was looking back at some of like my bookmark tweets. I know I shared this with you guys. Like in terms of the passing, I was like surprisingly super close with nailing it before the season. But just like how I said, stats don't always paint the picture. It's like I feel like a lot of the things that I've seen, at least as a Bronco fan, really trying to take off the blue and orange lenses, I feel like he's been even more impressive than what these numbers show in a lot of ways. I'd love to see what the people think in the comments, but like what were you hoping to see from Bo Nix in his rookie year that you ultimately didn't see, right? And then if you flip the question and say, what have you seen that like you were not expecting to see? There's a lot more answers on the latter question than the first one, right? And it's like, man, there's really like nothing that I was hoping to see from him that I didn't. And I think he hit all those. He surpassed it. He's able to make all the throws. He's a lot even more athletic than I thought he would be. His command of the offense was better than I thought it would. And then in terms of like, everything else that we weren't expecting to see that we have been, it's like the list is endless. So I don't think the numbers even necessarily do it justice. And then you talk about also, the off the field things, right? The way he carries himself, the way his teammates love him, the kind of leadership qualities that he has. Shit, it's been amazing. But I think, the fact that he even has a receiving touchdown is wildly cool. 24 sacks. What were we at last year, David? Do you remember? Was it 46? 47?
Man, it was something like that. Yeah.
And same O-line, same system, arguably a worse O-line because you don't have the center. You don't have Cush coming back. And you're basically cutting the sacks in half. It's wild.
I'm trying to look to see like on PFF where like how many sacks he's responsible for, but I can't seem to. If you guys know like what that stat is or where I can let me know.
I'll check to see if I can find that too. I think it's under like a weird metric, but yeah.
Big E Bronco was asking about that. That's a great question. But man, and forgive me if you already mentioned this, Marc or Jeremy. Was it Justin Herbert who has the most touchdowns in a rookie season?
Yeah. Yep.
And how many
Herbert he had 31 passing touchdowns, 36
total. So 2 shy.
So he was 2 shy of each. So Herbert broke both those records. Bo came in second at all time in passing touchdowns as a rookie, and third in total because Cam Newton had a bunch of running touchdowns and he had 35.
Yeah.
So, last time I checked, that's pretty good. Second all time in the history of the NFL of passing touchdowns, especially when you started off the way you did. I think he started the first 4 games or whatever. He had like 2 touchdowns and 4 picks or 1 touchdown and 4 picks or something like that. And to finish the way he did and almost having a perfect game yesterday. And that was the second time. Remember earlier in the season, I don't know if it was the Atlanta game. I think it was the Atlanta game where he was the only rookie who ever had thrown for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 80% completion percentage. And he did that again yesterday. So, like, if somebody's never done something before and then the guy does it twice in the same year as a rookie, and that's not just like for rookies, that was for literally name anybody, you know? Yeah. So, and a rookie just did that twice in the same year. So, yeah, you know, what's funny is today watching all the stuff of like, all the former players talk about it and all that kind of stuff. They kept saying it's the people that never played football before that were like, oh yeah, but it was the Chiefs backups, or they kept calling practice squad. I was like, do you understand how they have to field a roster of 40 some people? Like, most of those guys are starters actually. Like, there's key starters are out, but like a lot of those guys are still starters.
About half of them. Yeah.
Yeah. They're definitely not the practice squad, but most of the guys who were the former players who I heard talking today, they were all like, don't get it twisted. Like, those guys are good. Like, I don't care if it was against backups. Those are professional football players, and those are like one of the best teams, you know, we've seen. So none of those guys were throwing that around. It was all the talking hairdos that were like, yeah. So
yeah, no doubt. Mark, I want to give you your props, which is why I just had to pull up this screenshot. Yeah. You know, didn't predict Bo Nix's stat line to a T, but you were pretty darn close, man. And I assume you were just looking at maybe passing TDs. I don't know if that was total TDs, but man,
it was definitely passing.
Okay, yeah, but I thought you were pretty darn close. You know, Virgil thought that you might have been a little too crazy there, but
Virgil expected more.
This was a pretty good prediction, man, months ago for Bo Nix's stat line. It wasn't too far off.
No, it worked out, man. I kind of took – I remember I made right around that time, I think I made like a prediction video, and I kind of took all the different, you know, metrics of some of the other like rookie performances, took into account fit. I mean, yeah, I was like, I shorted him 1 interception, shorted him a touchdown. So I was surprisingly, I wish I could, my bets would go as closely as my actual predictions in real life. Because when I bet, I can't seem to hit anything. But no, it was cool. It was really cool to go back and kind of, you know, see where you were correct. It's really nice when you're correct on something, because a lot of the times, you know, you'll say like a hot take or you'll make a prediction. And I know, you know, I've definitely been more wrong than I have been right. But that was a lot of fun. And so, yeah. And another thing I wanted to add to what's really interesting. I was trying to find, I didn't see this until a little bit ago, but because I was trying to find the PFF stuff for you guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is the exact metric. They have something that says like pressure to sack percentage. I know that's something that's really big. Like, so how many times he's pressured and then actually ends up taking a sack. Obviously, the higher the number, the more it's technically on the quarterback. He's amongst one of the lowest in terms of all starters in the NFL in that metric. He's near the bottom of the league. Let me see exactly where he was at. I remember it being really low. But another thing that's really impressive is, you know, you would think that, you know, rookie quarterbacks historically, or just inexperienced quarterbacks in general, are typically going to be a lot worse and perform worse when they're blitzed, right? Naturally. Mm-hmm. Completely the opposite with Bo. He's actually significantly better when he's blitzed than when he's not. And I feel like as a rookie, that's really damn impressive. I just had some of it up here, up earlier a little bit. Now, of course, I can't find it because I was like clicking on a bunch of other things. But, you know,
here,
just really, was that?
I think I found it. Give me 1 second. Because, yeah, a lot of the people that are ahead of him weren't full-time starters this year. They were just backups.
Exactly.
So this is pretty interesting. So you guys can see this, right?
Yep.
So you can see Bo Nix here is at 21 with a percentage of 13.3 for pressure to sack rate. I'm trying to find how other full-time starters.
Like there's Lamar's right there.
Payton. Then you got guys that kind of played like half the year, like Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, like Josh Allen and Jordan Love, I think, are really the only other ones.
Yeah. So, yeah, that puts you in the top, quarter, top 20%, top 15% of, NFL starters for how you handled pressure.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah. No, it's definitely awesome just to be able to because you can just tell like he has a feel for the pocket maneuvering, right? You could tell that internal clock when it clicks. And what I've really loved is that he does a good job of either checking the ball down when he needs to. I'm all about the checkdowns, dude. People can talk crap about checkdowns. The checkdown kings that I've watched growing up were Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and
Patrick Mahomes is one of them now.
Patrick Mahomes, he's definitely become that. And if you notice, that's kind of when his game elevated. That's when his team actually started winning championships, when he was doing that. So people can talk all the crap they want, but it's smart quarterbacking. But then even also knowing when to check down, knowing when to take off running, utilizing his legs as a weapon has been really big. But yeah, I mean, when he was under pressure, when he was not blitzed, his quarterback, he's got 18 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 70% completion. When he's not blitzed, but when he's been blitzed, he has 11 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, and the completion percentage is a little bit lower, but his overall QBR and ratings has been even better. So super impressive for a quarterback that's as young as he is in terms of in NFL standards. Good stuff.
Wow.
That's like the pre-snap stuff. Yeah, I mean that's what we were saying. Before the season started, is the fact that, Sean Payton came out and said before the season that he's like, I'll tell you what, I want a guy who's not going to take sacks. And that just comes into your pre-snap prep. Like he knows where the ball's supposed to go. And now what we're seeing is him in zone coverage specifically, get his eyes to the right spot quickly. Because what happens is, if you're doing like a play action and you're turning your back to the defense and then you're turning back around and now, oh shoot, they were in what looked like man and now they're in zone. Now I got to figure out where I need to go first. And then you're late because you're having to figure all that stuff up on the fly. And the thing is with him is they wanted to, the rookie quarterbacks, they want to confuse him as much as possible. Show one thing, do the other, whatever. But yesterday's game, that's what he was doing. Is he he's getting it into the windows in a zone. He knows when to throw it into the zone, and that's the thing where I saw another bunch of guys where they're saying like it's been usually rookies about 6 games in they start to get figured out, or at least that's when like the adjustments start to be made. And he's had now 2 cycles of where they do something, he has to adjust, he does, then they adjust to that, and then he does, and now we're on like the 3rd lap of that, basically. And some guys don't ever get past, like they'll have, Drew Lock. Well, never, like they'll have a great early game, and then you're like, now why are you throwing into that? Why aren't you seeing that? And there's been a couple occasions where you're like, oh, you forced something, or you saw it, you didn't see something. Of course, that's going to happen. It happens to Patrick Mahomes this year. Like, it happens. But he's done such a good job of, like, that's the thing that makes me so optimistic, is he just doesn't, it's not like, oh, this is who I am. I'm not, this is as good as I'm going to get. It's like, that's why I always, again, we had this big conversation yesterday, David, me and Marc, about ceiling. And how everybody was like, oh, but his ceiling's low because he's 24 and not 22. And you're just like, this guy studies, and just all he cares about in life is faith, family, and football. That's it. Like, he's going to get better. And he's going to attack every offseason. He hasn't even had one full offseason with the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. So, like, we're way ahead of schedule, you know what I mean? And, yeah, he's a guy that when they adjust to him and they go, oh, we're going to show him looks that maybe he screwed up in the week before, he's already like worked on that himself and been like, what happened there? What didn't I see? And that's why he's being so successful. But that's why you don't want to blitz guys like that. And that's great. If you're going to, I mean, if you're more dangerous when you get blitzed, that's what do defensive coordinators like have in their back pocket? That's the thing they want to do. That's what Vance likes to do. But he's so cerebral, and it's his brain that's like, as much as the arm is better than everybody thought, his legs are better than everybody thought, and his leadership is amazing, and he says the right things, and he throws down for his teammates, and all the stuff that we all love about Bo Nix. It's the cerebral, mental part of being a quarterback in the NFL is what like is going to set him apart.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to the playoffs.
Yes. I want to get your thoughts here. Probably got to wrap up here in about 15 minutes. So thanks, guys, for sticking with us. Guys, in the chat, be sure to follow Marc on Marquee Sports. Links in the description. Be sure to smash that like, subscribe to both channels. Had to put that plug in. But I wanted to just get your, before we talk about maybe how we upset and shock the world against the Bills this week, just any final thoughts on like this team making the playoffs. Justin Simmons, man, cannot catch a break. Falcons, fall at the end of that game yesterday. But nice to see Garrett Bowles and Cortland Sutton get their playoff berth finally, with the team that drafted them. That's awesome. Any last thoughts on just how this feels?
Yeah, I mean, last thing, it's a euphoric feeling. I think it's important that we just enjoy it, right? Enjoy it as much as we can. Expect the best moving forward. Hope for the, hope for the best, but expect the worst, and just soak it in. Enjoy it while you can, man. It's really exciting. It's going to be awesome with the playoff wildcard weekend starting, and you're going to see the Broncos logo, and people are already talking. You hear about us in the national news. I mean, we're relevant again. This is an extremely special franchise with an unbelievable history, and it really makes me happy for a lot of the younger generation. Me and Jeremy talked about it. I mean, a lot of my nieces and nephews, they're young. They're like 9, 10, 12 years old, and all they really know about the Broncos is them sucking, them being terrible. They're always like, Uncle Marc, why do the Broncos suck so much? Or the Broncos are trash, and like they don't understand like the history of it. Because they weren't blessed to grow up in the eras when we were in our heyday. So hopefully that starts. Hopefully we're beginning a new era that's more like the one before. And so, just enjoy it, man. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is a Broncos town through and through. And even though you haven't been able to feel that for about a decade, but Denver's about to go full orange and blue. Like, I mean, Denver being in the playoffs and being where we're at, like, it is. We've had the Nuggets and we've had the Avalanche and had stuff in between, which thank God. But this is about to be crazy in Denver. And for all the people, I'm just happy for like all the people that don't live in Denver that are diehards and love the Broncos and had to struggle through all this. Now they can wear their Denver stuff out in public and feel like, yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? Because it's been a while, and it's easy to do that in Denver because you're not going to get any pushback. But you live, in Texas, or you live in Kansas, or you live wherever, or in another country, whatever, and you walking around putting that hat or jersey or shirt or whatever on today, and you feeling a little different, So that's exciting. And then as far as Cortland and Bowles go, like, here's the thing that listening to those guys' interviews, they just love the Broncos so much, and every time somebody gets cut or whatever on another team, everybody's quick to be like, oh, let's get him. But here's the thing that you notice that the common thread of this team is these guys are all like super passionate, hardworking, but humble guys. We've weeded out the prima donnas off of our team. And so just because somebody who's talented comes available, that doesn't mean Sean wants them, because it's the right type of guy. That's the reason why we're going to the playoffs, not just any type of guy. Yep. It's the guys that will work harder and sacrifice more. And now we have a we have a coach who wants that. We have a coaching staff that wants that and loves those type of guys that are coachable and like humble. And then you're led by a quarterback that doesn't want anything to do with like the credit. He wants to push everybody else up. So yeah, just remember in the off season or whatever, just because, we could get this guy. Maybe if that guy's the right type of guy, and those guys usually don't come available because other teams love those guys too. So
they don't want to come to Denver for the most part either. Let's be honest about it. They want to go to New York, LA, South Beach. Yeah.
Which so I never really understood that.
Yeah.
They all think they're going to get on TV.
I get South Beach, but I would never want to play in New York. It'd be awful. Anyway,
it's because it's the media. They're like, oh, well, I can just be on like national, it's like the Cowboys. It's like, oh, we can be talked about all the time because it's like the East Coast bias, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, how's that working out for anybody on the Jets for the last 15 years?
No, it's been great just going in the season with no distractions, no ownership drama, no head coach giving anybody hugs, no quarterback celebrity. Like, it's awesome. And I think it directly correlates with having more success this year. No doubt about it. Now, as we move forward to this game against the Buffalo Bills, Pro 16K put it greatly.
AKA
Denver's a winning franchise and Buffalo is a losing franchise. That is what we have going for us. On top of that, shout out to Northcutt Productions. So Denver are the only ones who's playing to prove themselves that they belong. The rest of the AFC want another crack at making the Super Bowl or KC, right? Momentum's on the Broncos side for sure. And I would add the Chargers into that as well. They've had, not a super long playoff drought, but they just haven't had, playoff success in so long. And I think, they're actually primed to do it now with Harbaugh. That, I think you could see both AFC West wildcard teams making some noise. But just wanted to get your thoughts on, Buffalo has, top 2 scoring offense, I think, in the NFL right now is what I saw. Kind of middle of the road defense, but how do we shock the world and beat the Buffalo Bills? What does your gut tell you? Mark, I'll start with you, and then Jeremy.
Yeah, I like what Northcutt Production said, right? I think we really do have a lot of momentum. Even though we lost 2 out of the last 3 games, I feel like this team's been in playoff mode now for a month, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking even with the Colts game and even before that, we've been in this kind of do or die and every game is super important type of a mindset. So that's super helpful. Obviously, the Bills' history is what it is. It's going to be a super tall task. That's a really good team. I talked about it several times. I think Buffalo is better. Is more equipped to win a Super Bowl this year than any year prior because I feel like they've actually established an identity offensively that is revolved around running rather than just throwing it across the yard. So it's going to be super tough. The major key and the only way I see us winning is if somehow, some way we win the turnover battle against this team. Because I don't know if you guys saw this, but when you look at, show me a team that is positive in the turnover differential and 90% of the time they're going to be a playoff team, right? And the only playoff team that does not have a positive turnover differential this year is the Bucs. Everybody else is positive. Broncos are +6 on the year. The number 2 team is the Steelers at 16. And the Buffalo Bills are number 1 with 24 in terms of the turnover differential, which is crazy.
Wow.
They only have 2 fumbles on the season. They turn the ball over and they do not give the ball up. And so, you win the turnover battle against that team, it's going to be you're going to give yourself a really good chance. And honestly, if we get off to a hot start, you're going to start having the feelings like I think of myself as a Bills fan, right? The Bills start thinking, oh my God, here we go again, right? It kind of like you take the crowd out of it. They might start freaking out about like the Bills curse that everyone talks about. And obviously that gives the Broncos juice. So, we go out there, we got nothing to lose. We lay it on them early. I think we'll have a really good chance to win, but it's going to be a hell of a tall task. But yeah, I have a good feeling about it. I like the way we match up in a lot of different ways. We'll have a lot of breakdowns coming this week. But Jeremy, what do you think, man? How do we shock the world?
Yeah, those are great points. I mean, like Doug said here, it's going to come down to the Sean versus Sean here. And our Sean's won championships and their Sean has not. And we mentioned this a little bit yesterday, and you just mentioned it about how if you, I'm expecting them, you're going to get their best shot really early, and they're going to come out all guns blazing, and they're going to want to like just step on us. If you can weather that, we match up pretty darn well, actually. And people like Chris Harris, and, don't take my word for it. People like Chris Harris, who, knows football and knows defenses and how to stop good offenses. And he loves the way we match up against them. So it's, to me, the biggest threat, and it could also be their biggest problem too, is it's not just the fact that Josh Allen can make any throw, because we have good corners that can cover. It's when he runs it, and Joe Burrow got us on a big run. We cannot let Josh Allen rip off those third and longs. If we get him into, that's going to be the thing that will break our back. We have to stop Josh Allen from running. If we can stop the run, make them throw, that plays into our hands. But then it's just like in basketball, the same thing. It's like when things get tight, you just don't even, let's abort everything we know and just give it to our best player and let's let him go do it on its own. That's kind of like the mentality of athletes. It's like, well, just give it to the superstar and let him do it. And Josh Allen is like, happily will do that, but you have to be ready for that. So when it's third down, you cannot turn your back and just forget about the quarterback. You have to spy and make the tackle. You cannot miss the tackle. That was been our biggest problem, is when we do actually have somebody there not making the tackle. So that's the thing that worries me the most. And play free, we're there. Yeah. All the pressure's on them. None of the pressure's on us. We're not even supposed to be here supposedly. And, I hope they're listening to all the people giving a bulletin board stuff this week about how it should have been the Bengals and you guys beat a bunch of scrubs that got in and yada, yada, yada. Keep talking and just go out there. And I love the fact that we played our last game as sharp as we did, because it showed everybody in that locker room, like, if you lock in, like, why not us? You know what I mean? And they're the ones that have all the pressure on them. And you go into Buffalo. I mean, we beat them last year with a worse team. Why not? And if we beat Buffalo, then we're going to play Kansas City, and then they're going to start to be like, oh, geez. Like, they beat us. We were one field goal away from sweeping them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I mean, don't put the cart before the horse. Josh Allen, it all comes, like, everything lives and dies with Josh Allen, Yeah. We have a better coach. We have a better defense. We need to stop the run and play good coverage, but we cannot let Josh Allen scramble and beat us. That's going to be the thing.
I think you hit on what I was thinking of, Jeremy, was that I think there are some things really going in this team's favor. One being the fact that we went into Buffalo last year and won. And two, on top of that, Vance Joseph had a lot of success with how he called the defense last year against the Bills. Slightly different offense now, but still a lot of the main pieces. I think that I'm expecting him to call a good game against the Bills this year. That's just what I'm going to expect. I know the Bills are still going to score points, but I think that having a good game plan on top of this team, playing really confident, they've like you brought up with Kansas City, and just the fact that you kind of get that muscle memory back and like that mojo back coming into this game. Having won 38 zip, Kansas City didn't even want to be on the field yesterday. And yeah, like those guys, I felt like they kind of quit, and some guys that they had something to play for, like you mentioned, Carson Wentz. there's no pressure on us. We're not supposed to be here, like you said. But, that can be a dangerous thing, playing carefree. And, Josh Allen, he's got a reputation that he needs to break, right? Of the Bills always falling short in the playoffs under his watch, just never being quite good enough. You got to go through that sometimes before you eventually get over the hump and, get your Super Bowl just like Peyton Manning. But let's not have it be this week. Hopefully we can shock the world, man. Be awesome.
Yep. It would be.
Yeah.
And don't sleep on the fact that they lost to the Patriots going into the end of the year. They were resting their backups or their starters too. But it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when the last football you played, your backups didn't play very well, and you let a team that was vying for the number one pick at the time come in and beat you. So, I love finishing the way we did, and then them finishing the way they did. That puts even more pressure because you're like, oh shoot, I got to play good, the starters. So, yeah, that was I didn't miss that little detail yesterday.
Yeah, nobody thought we were gonna win 38. I didn't. I thought that Kansas City was gonna cover, to be honest. But man,
what was it, 11 and a half?
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, more than quadrupled it. So yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on here, relishing the playoff berth, baby. We don't suck anymore. We're a team officially on the rise, and it's really great to see. Chat, thank you so much for being part of this. Be sure, smash that like, subscribe, and also head over to Marquee Sports. Links in the description. Marc, any thing you want to let the people know about that they can look forward to seeing this week before Sunday's kickoff?
Yeah, I actually have quite a bit this week. So I got a really good buddy of mine. His name is Sam. He's going to be joining me on a live stream on Wednesday. So really looking forward to that. He's just a good friend of mine. We always talk ball. He's never done a YouTube live. So we're going to kind of dive in a little bit on, similar topics to what we've been talking about. But then on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I will be joining Mafia Members Podcast. It's a Buffalo Bills podcast. He invited me, hit me up on Twitter, invited me to join him to talk a little bit about the Broncos, get a little perspective. I just met him earlier today, so we're kind of discussing some things. So I'm gonna jump on the Opposition's podcast, talk a little bit about the Broncos, maybe some things that they should be worried about, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll link that in the description on my channel for this video as well, and I'll put a couple other videos talking about it too. But really looking forward to that. We're gonna see how what ends up coming from that, and then in the other free time that I'll have, which won't be too much, we'll be diving hardcore into the Bills in every which possible way, talking about predictions, matchups, all that good stuff like usual. And so I'm pumped.
That's awesome, Marc. Funny enough, I was reached out to by another Bills podcast, and I'll be on their show on Wednesday. So I'll link out that. It is the Rock Pile Report. I guess they've been around for 9 years. That's what he is telling me. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Thursday, I'm going to have Kodiak on to preview the matchup, the playoff matchup and all that. So y'all be sure to hit that bell. That way you guys know when I'm dropping stuff, as well as on Marc's channel. Be sure to do that. I guess we'll wrap up now, guys. Jeremy, again, thank you so much for joining. Marc as well. Guys in the chat, really do appreciate it. Enjoy this week. Celebrate. And go Broncos.
Don't talk too much stuff. Don't talk too much trash on those Bills podcasts. Don't let them bait you.
No.
No, we won't.
Won't happen.
Let them have the freezing cold takes.